Have you ever felt something stirring deep inside you, a quiet restlessness, like there's a fire inside your chest? Not loud, not chaotic, but warm, insistent, and impossible to ignore. A longing that goes beyond day-to-day tasks, beyond the roles you play, or the deadlines you meet. It's not always easy to name, but it's there. A pull towards something deeper, something more meaningful, something real. What if that fire, your inner flame, isn't just some poetic idea, but the most important part of you? The part that holds your dreams, your passion, your purpose. And what if keeping that flame alive is the key to living a life that actually feels like your own? Welcome, friends. Today, we're diving into one of the most soul-stirring books I've come across, Aflame by Pico Iyer. This isn't your typical self-help book. It doesn't give you 10 easy steps to success or quick hacks for happiness. Instead, it offers something rarer, something softer and more profound. Aflame is a quiet, powerful invitation to turn inward and reconnect with the part of yourself that still burns for something. In a world full of noise, distraction, scrolling and striving, this book reminds us to pause, to listen, to feel, to ask. What is my fire? What do I truly long for underneath it all? Pico Iyer, known for his poetic storytelling and deep reflections, takes us on a journey that's part memoir, part meditation, and part spiritual search. He writes about the flames that guide us: love, loss, joy, grief, wonder, and the courage it takes to let them light our way. He shares stories of people from all over the world, and through them, he asks us to reflect on our own. And let me tell you, this isn't just beautiful writing. It's the kind of book that leaves a mark on your soul. It doesn't scream its message, it whispers. But those whispers, they stay with you. Now, before we go any further, I want to say something important. If you stop watching now, you'll miss the most powerful truth this book has to offer. How to take that fragile flicker inside you and nurture it, turning it into a steady, glowing blaze. One that can light your path even when everything around you goes dark. So, if you're feeling stuck, numb, or like life has become a little too flat lately, stay with me. This might just be the shift you've been searching for. Because Aflame doesn't just ask, what are you doing with your life? It asks something even more powerful. What are you burning for? Make sure to like the video, subscribe for more meaningful book breakdowns like this, and if something resonates with you today, do yourself a favor, get your own copy of Aflame through the link in the description. It's worth reading slowly. Alright, take a deep breath. Let's begin the journey inward. Let's explore what it means to live aflame. Imagine this. You're sitting at home, surrounded by the life you've built, your books, your journals, your favorite chair, your memories tucked inside little objects scattered across the room. And then, in a matter of hours, it's all gone. Not misplaced, not packed away, gone burned to ash. In 1990, that's exactly what happened to Pico Iyer. A wildfire swept through his California neighborhood, and with barely enough time to react, he and his mother escaped with nothing but the clothes on their backs and a toothbrush. Everything else, years of writing, photographs, heirlooms, furniture, letters, memories, was reduced to smoke and silence. But here's the remarkable part. That very night, Iyer sat down and wrote these words. My house burned down. Now I can better see the rising moon. Let that sink in for a second. It wasn't denial. It wasn't forced optimism. It was clarity. That fire, as devastating as it was, stripped away all the noise. And in the silence that followed, something unexpected emerged: peace. Because when there's nothing left to hold on to, you finally see what was never truly yours to begin with. He wasn't left with nothing. He was left with everything that couldn't be burned. His bond with his mother, his curiosity, his inner stillness, and the freedom to ask, who am I without my stuff? Pico Iyer talks about that moment as a kind of awakening. Not one he asked for, but one that changed everything. Suddenly, he wasn't distracted by possessions, achievements, or the illusion of permanence. The fire forced him to see with new eyes. And isn't that what many of us are craving? To feel unburdened, to let go of what weighs us down, even if we don't yet know how? We spend so much time trying to gather, accumulate, protect, believing that the right combination of things will finally make us feel safe, seen, satisfied. But Iyer's story challenges that illusion. It asks us to consider, what would be left if it all disappeared? What parts of you would survive the fire? Maybe it's your courage. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's your faith, or your voice, or the dream you keep buried because you're afraid to lose what you've already built. So here's the real question, the one this chapter so gently but powerfully asks. What would you discover about yourself if you lost everything you thought you needed? Would you find freedom? Would you see the moon rising? Or would you finally hear that quiet voice inside that's been waiting for your attention all along? Don't skip this part. This is where the real transformation begins, not in acquiring more, but in learning what we never needed in the first place. Stay with me, because in the next section, we explore what happens when we stop running from stillness and start leaning into it. After losing everything in the fire, Pico Iyer could have easily run toward distraction, toward noise, towards a fresh start in a busy city, or even toward the comfort of rebuilding what was lost. But instead, he chose something different, something most of us tend to avoid. He chose silence. Feeling unanchored and weightless, he found himself returning again and again to a quiet, windswept Benedictine hermitage in Big Sur, California. A place where the world felt distant and time didn't press in, where the only schedules were marked by the sound of bell chimes echoing across the cliffs. No phones, no internet, no conversations unless necessary, just silence. And slowly, something shifted. At first, the silence can feel awkward, like a void you want to fill. But Iyer began to see that it wasn't emptiness. It was fullness, a kind of sacred, gentle presence that had always been there, just buried beneath the noise. He walked through gardens where the wind carried messages. He sat in a tiny cell, lit by a single candle, and watched its flame flicker in rhythm with his breath. He'd rise to the soft tolling of bells and fall asleep to the sound of ocean waves, ancient, eternal, unbothered by the concerns of man. In those moments, I realized something profound. Solitude is not loneliness. It's an invitation to meet yourself, not the version wrapped in roles or titles or expectations, but the you that exists beneath all of it, the one who's often too quiet to be heard in the rush of everyday life. And here's the beautiful irony. The more time he spent alone in that silence, the more connected he felt to others. Because when we slow down enough to be present, really present, we begin to notice things again. The ocean isn't just water, it's alive. The birdsong isn't background noise, it's music. The sun rising over the hills isn't just another morning, it's a miracle. That sacred stillness helped him rediscover awe. And maybe that's what so many of us are missing. Not more noise, not more hustle, but the stillness that brings us back to the core of being alive. So here's your moment to pause and ask, when was the last time you sat in true silence, not waiting for a notification, not rushing to the next thing, but just being? Don't skip this part, because this is where your flame learns to breathe deeply again. The flame inside you doesn't need more fuel. It needs space. And silence? That's the space where it grows. In the next section, we explore how the fire within us can be nurtured, not by intensity, but by attention. Are you ready to meet the quiet part of you that's been waiting to be heard? Pico Iyer has spent a lifetime not just observing the world, but listening to it. And in his search for deeper meaning, he kept returning to the wisdom of ancient voices. Christian desert monks, Buddhist masters, and Sufi poets, separated by time, geography, and faith, but all echoing the same truth in different tongues. You can become a flame. But wait, what does that mean? It doesn't mean a wildfire that consumes everything in its path. It doesn't mean chaos or burnout or intensity for the sake of drama. No, this flame is something else. Something steadier. Something sacred. Imagine a candle burning quietly in a dark room. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. Yet it transforms everything around it with its presence. That's the flame these teachers speak of. It's the flame of conviction, of clarity, of calm passion. It's the fire that lights your eyes when you're aligned with your purpose. It's the warmth in your words when you speak from love, not ego. One monk told Iyer something unforgettable. The real work isn't protecting a building from burning down. The real work is tending to the inner flame every night, without fail, because life will blow storms your way. People will misunderstand you. Circumstances will change. You'll lose things. You'll question yourself. But the question that matters most in those moments isn't, what can I control? It's, what can I stay true to? Conviction isn't just belief. It's the act of protecting what you know matters. Even when no one's looking. Even when it's hard. It's getting up and doing the kind thing when bitterness tempts you. It's showing up for your craft when no applause is promised. It's forgiving again, trusting again, beginning again, because you're guided by a deeper fire. Living a flame, Pico suggests, is about carrying that quiet intensity into everything you do. Whether you're writing an email, cooking a meal, or simply sitting in stillness, your inner fire gives each act meaning. So let me ask you, now don't brush this off. What conviction are you ready to protect fiercely no matter what? Not a goal, not a performance, but that inner compass you know is true, even if the world doesn't see it yet. If you haven't answered that question in a while, this might be your moment. Because if you skip this reflection, you'll miss the chance to name the very thing that could anchor you when the world begins to shake again. Up next, we look at how living a flame means saying no, not just to things that drain you, but also to things that distract you from what matters most. Ready for that kind of honesty? Now here's the part most people overlook. We chase after breakthroughs. We wait for inspiration to strike like lightning. But what if real transformation doesn't come from one grand dramatic moment, but from quiet, repeated acts? Pico Iyer reminds us, keeping the flame alive isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. When he returned time and again to that Benedictine hermitage in Big Sur, he didn't find enlightenment in a sudden flash. He found it in the silence before dawn, in lighting a single candle, in walking through the garden slowly enough to hear the rustle of a bird's wing, in writing one clear sentence in his journal. These are the kind of moments that don't show up on social media. They aren't flashy. They aren't meant to impress anyone. But day by day, they become the tinder that keeps the inner flame burning. Think about it. The teacher who paints for just 15 minutes each morning, not because they're preparing for an exhibit, but because it feeds their soul. The lawyer who pauses to breathe mindfully before every tense meeting, not because it's trendy, but because they want to lead from calm, not chaos. The single parent who lights a candle at night after the kids are asleep, not for religion, but for remembrance, for reclaiming just a moment of presence. These are rituals, not routines, not chores. Rituals are sacred acts of attention. Iyer brings in a beautiful Japanese concept here, ichigo ichie. It means this one moment, one time. It's the idea that every encounter, every breath, every sunrise is completely unique and unrepeatable. So why rush through it? When we treat each moment as precious, we begin to live aflame. Not wildly, not recklessly, but purposefully. So here's a real, practical invitation. Start with one ritual. Just one. It could be lighting a candle before your day begins, or taking a short walk without your phone, or journaling 3 honest lines each evening. It's not about time, it's about intention. These small sparks add up. They help you meet the world with a steadier light. They remind you that your life is not just something to manage, it's something to honor. If you skip this part, you'll miss the real transformation. Not the kind people clap for, but the kind that slowly rebuilds your relationship with yourself. So let me ask you, what's one ritual you can return to tomorrow, not to impress others, but to ignite your own inner fire? Take a second and truly consider that. And when you're ready, let's move into the next section, where we explore how stillness is not a luxury, but a radical form of strength in a noisy, burning world. Ready to go deeper? Here's something we don't talk about enough. Your inner fire, your sense of purpose, clarity, passion, it's not just yours alone. It doesn't burn in a vacuum. It breathes through your environment. It glows or dims, depending on who's standing around you. Pico Iyer saw this up close during his time at the Benedictine hermitage in Big Sur. Yes, he sought solitude, but he wasn't alone. He was surrounded by monks who barely spoke, yet their silent presence radiated a kind of peace, a quiet strength that wrapped around him like warmth on a cold morning. They didn't talk much, but they listened deeply. Their kindness was not in their words, but in their being, and that was powerful. It showed Iyer something important. Solitude doesn't mean isolation. You can be wrapped in silence and still feel deeply connected if the people around you are attuned to something deeper than small talk. Now contrast that to what happened when the wildfires tore through his California town. Homes were gone, memories reduced to ash, and yet in that devastation, something else rose from the ruins: connection. People who had barely spoken before were suddenly holding each other up. Neighbors became lifelines. Grief became a shared language. When everything was stripped away, what remained was each other. Iyer writes that in those moments, the flame didn't die, it grew stronger. Because sometimes, it's in shared suffering that we feel most alive, most human, most connected. Let's pause for a second and turn this inward. Who nourishes your flame and who dims it? Who makes you feel more you? Who reminds you to slow down, to breathe, to remember what really matters? And on the other side, who leaves you drained? Who pulls you away from yourself, from your values, from your spark? This isn't about judgment. It's about awareness, because the people we surround ourselves with either fuel our fire or suffocate it. Think of your closest circle. Do they make space for your silence? Do they celebrate your small victories? Do they remind you of who you are when the world tries to make you forget? If not, maybe it's time to shift some of that energy elsewhere, because your flame deserves better. And remember, connection isn't about quantity, it's about quality. One quiet soul can light up your world more than a room full of loud noise. Don't underestimate the power of a shared gaze, a kind word, or even just sitting in silence with someone who sees you fully. So ask yourself again, who do you need more of, and who do you need less of if you're going to keep your inner fire alive? Up next, we're going to talk about something most of us try to avoid, but it holds some of the deepest lessons: loss. Yes, grief can burn, but it can also illuminate. Don't miss what comes next. Let's talk about pain. Not the kind you stub your toe on and forget in 5 minutes, but the deep, gut-wrenching pain that shakes your entire foundation. The kind that breaks something open inside you and leaves you wondering if you'll ever be the same again. For Pico Iyer, that moment came with the fire. The wildfire that roared through his California neighborhood didn't just take things, it took everything. His family's home, years of journals, photographs, artifacts of a life carefully built. all gone in one single, devastating sweep of flame. But what came next changed him forever. Because as he stood among the ashes with his mother, who had escaped with only a toothbrush and her love for him, he began to see something clearer than ever before. What really mattered hadn't burned. His relationships, his breath, his awareness, his purpose. That experience became more than a tragedy, it became fuel. My house burned down. Now I can better see the rising moon. This line, so simple, so profound, is Iyer's way of showing us that loss, when faced with open eyes and an open heart, can actually illuminate. That fire doesn't only destroy, it refines. It removes what's not essential, so we can finally see what is. And 30 years later, when Iyer drove through another wave of California fires, he didn't just feel sorrow, he felt understanding. That same fire from the past, once filled with grief, now carried a sense of clarity, a strange sort of gratitude. Not for the suffering, but for what it revealed. That's the shift from victim to survivor, from being burned to becoming refined by the fire. This is the moment most people miss. That adversity, when met with presence and patience, can actually build the flame inside you, not extinguish it. We're not saying you should enjoy pain. We're saying use it. Use the heartbreak to teach you softness. Use the setback to sharpen your focus. Use the disappointment to deepen your empathy. And use the loss not to close your heart, but to open it. Here's a question only you can answer. What if the worst thing that ever happened to you was also the thing that awakened the strongest part of you? What if the fire that burned your life down wasn't the end, but the beginning of something more real? Remember, fire transforms. It clears the forest floor for new growth. It removes what can't survive, so what can endure has space to rise. But only if we let it. Only if we're willing to sit in the smoke for a while, to feel the sting, and still say, I'm not done yet. Don't stop now. This is where your story begins to shift. Because up next, we'll explore how to keep this new flame alive, not just in big moments, but in your quiet daily life. And trust me, this next part is where the real transformation starts. Imagine a flame bright, warm, full of potential. Now imagine that flame without a direction, flickering wildly, easily blown out by the slightest breeze. It's beautiful, yes, but uncertain, unsteady. Without purpose, even the most brilliant flame can feel fragile. This is exactly the insight Pico Iyer shares in Aflame. He teaches us that fire alone isn't enough. It needs intention, a focus, a reason to keep burning through the storms. After losing so much in the wildfire and retreating to the quiet solitude of the hermitage, Iyer didn't just seek peace, he sought purpose. The kind of purpose that isn't flashy or loud, but deep, steady, and quietly compelling. He found it in simplicity, choosing to live a life stripped of excess distractions. Imagine this. No cell phone constantly buzzing, no overflowing inboxes, no endless scrolls through news feeds. Just a modest apartment shared between two homes, Japan and California, spaces filled not with clutter but with calm. In this simplicity, his flame didn't weaken, it grew stronger. It was fueled by love for family, for writing, and for being fully present in every moment. He showed us that a purposeful life isn't about grand gestures or constant achievement. It's about showing up fully, with intention, in the small moments. Lighting a candle at dawn, savoring a morning walk, writing a few heartfelt words. These daily acts are the tinder that keeps the flame steady and bright. And this purpose doesn't need to be monumental. Sometimes it's as small as the smile you offer a stranger, the care you take in a conversation, or the commitment you make to yourself each morning. Here's a question for you. What purpose, no matter how small, lights your flame every day? What keeps you going when life tries to dim your light? Because, as Iyer reveals, living a flame is less about burning out, and more about burning with intention, steady, calm, and deeply rooted. If you stop now, you might miss this essential truth. That purpose is the compass guiding your flame, transforming simple moments into a life full of meaning. And if you've made it this far, congratulations, you're already on the path toward that deeper, more intentional fire. Up next, we'll explore how that flame can guide you, even in moments of doubt and darkness. Keeping your inner flame alive isn't about grand gestures or constant highs. It's about nurturing it gently, day after day, with simple yet profound practices that ground you in the present and connect you deeply to life itself. Pico Iyer offers us 4 guiding principles to sustain that flame. First, gratitude. It sounds simple, maybe even cliché, but it's incredibly powerful. Gratitude is about seeing the beauty in small, everyday moments. Imagine the soft glow of a candle flickering in a quiet room, or the gentle mountain breeze brushing your skin on an early morning walk. These moments are not just background noise, they're the fuel for your flame. When you pause and truly notice them, your flame grows warmer and brighter. Next comes curiosity. Life is an endless unfolding mystery, and staying open to new ideas, cultures, and even the silence between thoughts keeps your flame fresh and alive. Iyer's own journeys from the quiet Benedictine hermitages to vibrant cities across the world remind us how curiosity expands our inner light. It challenges our assumptions, breaks down walls, and invites us to grow beyond what we thought was possible. Then there's compassion, the flame's natural warmth spreading outward. Our inner fire is not meant just to light our own path, but to gently warm others as well. Small acts, listening deeply to a friend, offering kindness to a stranger, sharing a smile can fan your flame and others. Compassion connects us in the human experience and keeps the fire of community burning. Finally, Iyer talks about acceptance. Life is unpredictable, filled with uncertainty and change. Embracing this truth, rather than resisting it, allows your flame to burn steady, even when the winds of doubt and fear blow strong. Acceptance is not surrender, it's a courageous openness to life as it is, fully alive with all its contradictions. One of the most profound lessons Pico shares is about luxury. It's not about how much you own or how much noise surrounds you. True luxury lies in how little you need to feel whole, to feel aflame. It's the elegance of simplicity, the richness of a quiet moment. Picture your inner flame as a small fire burning in a hearth. You don't need to fuel it with heaps of wood every hour. Instead, you feed it gently with kindling, protect it from drafts, and tend it with care. In return, it offers you steady warmth and light, a reliable source of comfort no matter the storms outside. If you've listened to this far, you now carry the wisdom to live a flame every single day. This is not a fleeting moment of inspiration, it's a way of being. A quiet revolution within yourself that transforms how you meet the world. So ask yourself, how will you feed your flame today? What small acts of gratitude, curiosity, compassion, or acceptance will you choose to keep your fire burning bright? Because remember, your flame is yours to nurture, protect, and share, and it has the power to light your path and the paths of those around you no matter what life throws your way. And now, as we bring this journey to a close, I want you to pause right here, right now, and take one deep breath. Feel that quiet warmth inside you. That's your flame. It may flicker, it may feel small some days, but it's yours. It's the essence of who you are. Your passion, your kindness, your quiet presence in a noisy world. It's not loud. It doesn't scream for attention, but it speaks in moments of stillness, in gestures of love, in the way you show up for your life, even when it's hard. This flame is fragile, yes, but it's also unbelievably resilient. You've seen it maybe during your darkest hours, still glowing, still holding on. And now you know it can grow. So, what part of your flame are you ready to rekindle? Maybe it's your curiosity. Maybe it's a dream you shelved years ago. Maybe it's the simple joy of being present. Whatever it is, don't wait. Start now. And if this message has moved you in any way, even a little, please do me a small favor. Like this video so more people can find their own flame. Subscribe to the channel if you'd love more soulful, meaningful book journeys like this one. And drop a comment below what spoke to you the most. What are you walking away with today? But most importantly, don't stop here. This summary was just the spark. To truly feel the heat, the depth, the beauty of this fire, you have to experience Pico Iyer's full journey yourself. Grab a copy of Aflame through the link in the description. Trust me, it's one of those rare books you'll keep coming back to. Like a hearth in winter. Like a quiet light guiding you through the fog. Because Aflame isn't just a book. It's a reminder that even in silence, there is music. Even in loss, there is clarity. Even in a world on fire, your inner flame can stay lit. So let me leave you with one final question, one you might want to carry with you long after this video ends. How will you keep your flame alive starting today? Thank you for being here, for choosing stillness in a restless world, for tending your light. Stay warm, stay open, stay aflame.